run. As a result, Brian called me with information about a friend of his who could design the mailing and a printing company that could put it together. And fellow research attorney Tracy Splitgerber helped create an Excel program that sort of generated the mailing list from the voter list, and vocational rehab sent it out. And although it was late, it seemed to help quite a bit. I think a couple of other factors helped as well. I direct the choir at the First Methodist Church. Watch this. Would the choir stand? What a wonderful collection of friends. Roger Hawkins and Otha Jones helping to put out signs. Blair Jones made buttons reading BB for Judge. My assistant choir director and good friend Carolyn France put a sign on her bicycle and drove it all over town for months. We had another sign made and would sometimes stand on the street corner to display it at the Cook and Broadway. Tom Hinshaw, good friend and fellow research attorney, wrote a letter to members of the Santa Barbara County Bar Association and choir members such as Ardith Cox helped stuff the envelopes as they were mailed out. Things began to change, I think, finally after I squeaked into the runoff with John. Tim Stemple and Rod Melville sat me down and laid out a game plan of better design created by Tim, who's something of a genius in these matters, I've decided. As I recall, Tim characterized my use of the 18 or so judicial endorsements I had received as, "I've got a secret." I enlisted Mary Rose in Santa Barbara to help coordinate efforts in the South, and she was enormously helpful in keeping up with events to attend and people to meet and so forth. And I met with Judge Bill McClafferty, who offered a campaign slogan that I regret I was never able to use. "We be for maybe." And consider the possibilities. BB for BB, BB for BB, BB for BB. I have to say, even with all this good advice, the campaign still lacked probably the energy to overcome the 2-to-1 lead that John had built up in the primary. And another miracle of sorts was needed to make up the deficit, and it arrived in the person of one Bobby Schubeck. She came out of nowhere, having run into Judge Melville at a red carpet event and mentioning that she had worked on Brian Hill's campaign in years prior. Rod put us together at a lunch at the Olive Garden, and amazingly, she volunteered to help. And the next thing I knew, she had organized supporters into a committee that met weekly and pestered me. She insisted on putting more and more signs out, getting print ads out, speaking at more events. I began receiving 10 or so emails a day with suggestions or reports. She lined up people to pass out brochures. We meet for lunch at Cafe Monet and work strategies. She organized events and never let go of a single detail until it was accomplished. She was a dynamo. I'd like you to clap for her. I think she's here somewhere. Don't you ever think that one person can't make a difference in this world. Wow, thank you. She organized a committee, and if anybody was on that committee and here today, I'd like you to stand if you would, just so that I can see you and say thank you. And Michelle, you will perhaps have noticed among the supporters young Christian Allen, the youngest, but certainly not the least effective of the campaign committee members. Thank you, Christian. If there was any single day that marked the turning point, I would guess it would be September 24th. At the suggestion of Judge McClafferty and the invitation of Judge Garcia, the judges who had endorsed me gathered in their robes for a picture. And photography by Richard snapped the picture, and we ran it in every newspaper in the county. Moreover, on the same day, on a day's notice, assistant pastor at the First Methodist Church, see, it's good to belong to a church, Bill Greenhalgh, filmed the event and then strung the clips together into a TV commercial that we ran on KCOY and KUIT. I received the endorsements I was glad to have of the other two candidates from the primary, Lynn Cutler and Kevin Reddy. And Lynn and Rod joined me in recording some radio ads. The ballot statement listed the names of the judges, so many of them here on the platform who supported me. Others like Buddy Jankwith assisted in rounding up support for some of the last-minute media spots. Tom Hinshaw solicited votes for me at his wedding to Donna Lewis. When election day came, amid all the really more important events of that day, I found myself the leading vote getter. And I want to join Judge Stafford in expressing to John McKinnon, who's graciously here tonight and the president of our local bar association, my admiration and respect for his running an exemplary campaign with great positive energy and such integrity. There are so many others to name that it would just go on far too long if I were to try to list them all. I'm thinking of people like Dennis Marquin, my good friend, and Trent Benedetti, my campaign treasurer, and fellow members of the Santa Fe Philharmonic Board, Ted and Cheryl Maddox, who so kindly enabled me to place beat for judges' signs in their McDonald's locations. I'm thinking of all of the court personnel, especially the clerks of the court, like Kerry Wagner and Susan Swack, and so many others who wrote letters to the editor in support. Ken and Parnell McCallum and Dr. Linda Gant and Jerry Stinn, who held events for me. Colleen Stern, Ed Bullard, and Jacqueline Frederick, who shared stories of their own campaigns in a very helpful way. And I'm so grateful to my former office mates in family custody mediation, and especially to the Santa Maria Legal Research team of Tracy Splitgerber and David Nyson, who both really sacrificed to make this day happen, even when it meant shouldering more than their fair share of the work. Thank you. You'll surely have gathered from this long account some idea of the debt I owe to Rod Melville. He encouraged me from the start, chastised me when I seemed to slack off, held a fundraiser, recruited help, including Bobby, and without him, this event would not be occurring. We've had a very close working relationship over the years, and entirely apart from anything associated with becoming a judge myself, it has meant more than I can say to have been a research attorney for Rod and for the other judges I've worked with. And I'm so honored to have Judge St. John return for this event. The original judges of the Superior Court who hired me were Royce Llewellyn, Zell Cantor, Jim Jennings, and Dick St. John. I have been so enriched by the opportunity to learn from them and from all the wider court. It has been my privilege to serve. I say to you, judges, you have inspired me, and you have filled me with the desire to be to the community what you have been, pillars of justice. I come back at the end to where I began, to all my family. As the program says, you are my sine qua non, that without which I would not be. And to all of you in this room, my profoundest thanks for being here